Welcome to the Word on the Street podcast, bringing you the latest MMA rumors, news, and outlandish speculation. This is Tuesday, March 12th of the year 2000 in Chael, and we are here with a special Tuesday After Tough episode with some breaking news from Team Sonnen Coach Jamie, the living legend Huey, and we also have a very special guest on the line with us right now as well, Mr. Tommy Toehold. That's right. A year ago, I was a nobody. I had no show, no podcast, and women laughed at me in the bedroom. And now here I am interviewing a cartoon. And I guarantee you that I'll probably be doing all kinds of sex later tonight with young college girls who don't know any better. Now, we are also joined by Jake from the MMA podcast. Check out his show tomorrow. But we'll just get right to it. First off, Tommy Toehold, are you there and are you ready to hear some shocking truths about Jon Jones from Coach Jamie, the living legend Huey right now? Because I hear he has quite the story to tell about Bones.
Let's do this shit!
Hell yeah. Coach Jamie Huey, I hear, we talk on Twitter, we're family, we're friends here. We host this podcast together. You told me you have a little bit of a story to tell about a certain somebody from the filming of The Tough. Now, without further ado, I'll just ask you, what do you got, man? What's the word on the street?
Well, I'm just going to be honest and tell you, Jon Jones, is what you see is not what you get.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start it off with that. I was propositioned by Jon Jones. And at the Tough gym, there's a sofa when you first come in there, and I'm sitting there on the phone, and he comes out wherever he was, and back in his locker room or whatnot, and he says, "Hey," he goes, "So what's going on?" And I'm on the phone, and I'm kind of like looking at him, and he's standing there, and so I kind of put the phone down for a second. I go, "What's up, man?" And he goes, "So how much would it take?" And I go, "What the hell are you talking about?" And he goes, "How much would it take?" And I go, "Huh?" I go, "Wait, what?" And because I have no idea what he's talking about. And he goes, "How much to switch teams?" I go, "Switch teams?"
Oh.
And he goes, "Yeah, how much?" He goes, "Let me just be honest, man." He goes, I need a boxing coach, and I'll double your pay, whatever it is."
Oh, my God.
Now, first of all, I was kind of took it back. It caught me off guard. I'm just talking on the phone here, and he's offering to pay me double. Now, anybody that knows Chael knows that, Chael's the highest paid UFC athlete in the company, and he pays his coaches more than Team Sonnen is the highest paid coaches in the UFC. There's no question about that. Chael pays ridiculous amounts to his team.
Nice. I'm
not quite sure Jon really realized what he was saying. But on one hand, I was kind of a little humbled, like, whoa, it's kind of an honor a little bit. This guy's gonna, he's the champ for now. He's going to be former champ, but he's offering, me a position. But of course, Darkside, we don't do that. So we kind of joked a little bit, and I told him, I said, "Jon, here's what I'm going to do for you. I go, I'm going to." We're going to fight you in April. We're going to take your title. Chael is going to become the champion. But when Chael retires, I'd be happy to help you get your title back." Man. Now, the Nike connection is my boxing program's 2 miles away from Nike World Headquarters, and he's over here frequently, obviously, doing his Nike deals or whatever he's doing there at Nike. So that was kind of so even after I made the joke, he still wanted my number, so I gave it to him. But you know what? It what really kind of, I gained a new respect for Jon after that happened, because Jon Jones is not what he seems to be. Jon Jones is a Team Darkside member. Jon just doesn't know it yet. Now backdooring Chael to do something like to steal one of his coaches, that's what we do on the dark side. That's not what the good guys do. That's what the bad guys do. We're the bad guys. I don't understand why Jon's trying to, move in on our that's our swag. We're the dark side. That's something we would do. I gained a new respect for him in the sense that he would do something so sneaky, but I'd lost the respect in the fact that he says he's one thing, but he's really something else. Now, I'm concerned for his coaches because he's got a great coaching staff, Frank Mir, Ricky Lundell, and I backdoored Jon and tried to get Ricky Lundell over to our side, but Ricky's a loyal guy. He won't do it. Stone or Solid, all these guys, you know, are pretty good guys over on his team. Now, Bubba Jenkins, he's a knucklehead. He's a criminal just like the rest of our team. Bubba Jenkins is the Team Darkside guy. Him and John just don't know it. They're really us. They're just wearing the wrong jersey. So John propositioned me to join his team. I'm going to go ahead and counteroffer that, and I'm going to offer John and Bubba and any of those other guys on Team Jones, when we get the title and Chael retires, I'm making a formal invitation for you guys to come on over to the dark side, because Darth Vader was good and became bad. Wasn't bad and became good. So what I'm saying is those guys can come over to where we're at, and we'd love to have them.
Hell yeah, Coach Jamie. Wow, that is crazy shit. And I gotta say, I just want to make sure, I just want to make sure that everybody has this right that's listening right now. You are saying that Jon Jones approached you, a Team Sonnen coach, with an offer, an offer of cash money. You know, he brought that paper trying to get you to switch over and abandon Chael Sonnen and switch over to Team Jones. Is it? I mean, just to make sure that nobody's misunderstanding here, he offered you money to basically turn your back on Chael.
Double my pay. Now, here's something that everybody needs to know so they don't think I'm just blowing smoke. Nothing happens in that tough gym without being videotaped anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The bathrooms have video cameras over the toilets, the stalls, the showers. When you sign up for this, you basically sign your privacy away. This conversation that I'm talking about exists on film. The editors, the people at The Ultimate Fighter, this was documented on camera. This exists somewhere. So show the second tape.
Yep, and knowing Jones, he might have even purchased the tape. This is ridiculous. Now, wow, I think I'm going to be sick right now. This is disgusting news. I got to say, it's a very underhanded trickster type shit here going down. Excuse my language. This is a family fucking podcast, but this is an outrage. Tommy Toehold, Coach, I just want to get everybody's reaction on the call here. Coach Huey, Tommy, if you're there, Coach Huey just broke the news that Jon Jones offered to pay him double what Chael pays if he'd come over to Team Jones and be his new boxing coach. Tommy, are you a Jones or Sonnen fan? And what do you think about this crooked-ass shit?
I am Team Darkside all the way. Even though Chael abruptly ends all of our interviews with Kaboom, I still got a soft spot for the guy. And if I were Jon Jones, I would want to pick up Coach Huey too, because Johnny's going to need his entire roster from the Tough Team, Johnny Cage from Mortal Kombat, and Super Chef Bobby Flay on April 27th if he wants to put a dent in the Man of Steel.
Hell yeah. Straight from the mouth of Tommy Toehold himself. Now, Jake from the MMA podcast, you just heard this breaking news about this story here, an offer, an indecent proposal. What's your reaction? I got to know.
Yeah, this is really wild, and it's not the first time we've heard people talking about Jones being sort of underhanded and wanting to play a role in someone else's camp, whether it's a spy or trying to steal a coach. Jamie, what I kind of wanted to ask really quick, you know, I'm assuming after you turned his offer down, you went and told Chael at least, and if you did go and tell Chael, was his reaction one of amusement? Was he angry? Was he, you know, what was his first reaction when you told him that Johnny Bones tried to steal you over from Team Darkside?
Well, first thing Chael did was offer to triple my pay, just because I'm loyal. And of course I turned that down because I'm overpaid already. The second thing was, I think we all gained a new respect for Jon, to be honest with you. After something so shady and crooked, I mean, that's what we do. That's dark side stuff. Now, my only issue with Jon is, if you're going to be a dark side member, put on the jersey. You know, don't say A and be B. Don't claim to be a good guy and you're really a bad guy. You're one of us, man. Don't pretend. Let it out. It's all right, Jon. You can do this. We'll walk you through it.
Yep, I agree. I think Jon, maybe what he was asking was to, you know, how much. Maybe at first he was just like, man, how much to be on your team, you know? But then he was like, he saw you weren't going to have it, and he was like, oh, how much for you to be on? Well, I'm just speculating here. Coach Jamie Huey, I got to say, though, he offered to double your money. Now, you know, we obviously don't know how much that is, but that's whatever it is. At least that's got to make you pause a little bit. So I got to say, when he was like, I'll double your money, how long did you think about it for?
Well, you know, I'm always willing to help somebody that wants to be helped. You know, my only issue is Jon just needs to, you know, he needs to come to terms with the fact that he's wearing the wrong jersey. He needs to put on the Darkside black and gray jersey, and he has a whole solid crew of people that are absolutely there willing to help him. Of course, this is after you know, I'm willing to offer my services to him and give him my help when he needs it the most, and that'll be April 28th and thereafter. Mm-hmm. So my issue that I issue to Jon is, you know, just put on the jersey, come on over to the dark side, man, and we will do everything we can for you.
Yeah, he can give you a call on April 28th. As soon as he regains consciousness in the hospital, and, you know, maybe you can help him rehab. I don't know. Maybe that's what he needs. Now this reminds me of how back when you know, when the UFC convinced us that Rampage versus Jon Jones was a good fight. Remember when that was going on? Rampage actually did claim that Jon Jones had planted a spy in his own camp. Now I've got to say, based on what I'm hearing today from Coach Huey, Coach, I've got to ask you, do you think that Jon Jones was asking you, in a roundabout way, to be his spy in Chael's camp?
That's a good question.
You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, I know it's in looking at it from your perspective, you're like, all right, you know, sounds like a valid offer. You know, we're in the same area. He wants to come out and box. But to me, on the outside looking in as a fan, I'm seeing this for what it is, man. He was trying to buy you out. He wants to spy in Chael's camp. He knows if he's paying you money, you're going to have to give up the dirt on Chael. You're going to have to. Now, I've got to ask this last important question here before we just to get a little bit more from Tommy Toehold here. Coach Huey, how do we know, given what you've told us, how do we know that Jon Jones hasn't corrupted any other team's son and coaches? I mean, I know that's a shot in the dark. I'm asking a ridiculous question. If anybody knows, Coach, if anybody knows Coach Scott McCoy and Clayton Hires and Vinny Magalhaes, but how do you know that he didn't approach any other members trying to buy them out too?
Well, you know, if they did, good for them, because there's really no secrets in our camp. The door's wide open. Come in, watch us train. One MMA, Tualatin, Oregon. We're there Monday through Saturday. Anyone's invited. Come on in, bring your cameras. We have no secrets. If people know what it is, you watch the show, you know, you see Chael basically telling Jon, you know, this is what it is, and we invited guys on his team to come over and train with us. In fact, you know, I can't say, you know, a whole lot about, you know, forward into the show, but, you know, Gilbert Smith, for instance, is coming up. He'll be up here next week. There's no secrets. If there's spies, then by all means, I hope they took Jon's money and then come up here, because they could have did it for free. You didn't have to pay anybody for that. He could have come up here and watched them. The door's wide open. Jon can come up in there and feel free to train with us in the meantime. We have no secrets.
That's true. This move, this dirty, underhanded, crooked-ass shit from Jon Jones. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised at his gusto, but at the same time, I'm not surprised that we're seeing this coming from trying to turn people against their friends and family, man. This is a disgrace to me. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. Personally,
I'm proud of him. I just wish he'd put on the right jersey and say he's Darkside, because that's how we roll. So if you're gonna do what we do, you got to be who we are.
That's right. Well, hopefully if he doesn't know it, now he knows it, and on April 28th, he definitely will know it, and hopefully he'll convert to the dark side after that. I mean, you know, maybe he'll be like, you know, Chael won the belt fair and square. I got to learn what I can from this man. Now, Tommy Toehold, thank you again for coming on. All this, we have Coach Huey from Tough. We're talking about The Ultimate Fighter. Are you watching The Ultimate Fighter this season? And if so, Tommy, what do you think of the show so far this season?
I am watching the season of Tough, and I think it's fucking awesome. The new style, the fighters they selected, the constant zooming and unzooming during interviews. My biggest concern, though, was the coach's challenge tonight. I don't think Dana thought things through when he allowed Johnny to operate heavy machinery. It is a miracle that the MGM is still standing.
Yeah, it was Coach Huey. You were there at the coach's challenge. There was bulldozers and basketballs and Ariani's ass all over the place. Now, I was talking about it with Jake earlier. We were like, oh man, that was a great challenge. It seemed almost a little too back and forth, almost like it was like rigged to be like this epic match. But I saw your reactions when Chael pulled off the victory. It seemed pretty legit to me. Was there any clever editing going on there, or did that challenge go down like that? Exactly like we saw.
That was exactly what happened. It was crazy because, Chael filled up that dumpster. We were on a roll, and then he started having trouble stacking the tires. John went over there, killed it. And he was over at the basketballs, and we're like, oh my God, and we were talking mad shit, dude. Me and Clayton, and we were all jumping around, and Uriah, and we were all talking smack to the Team Jones team. In fun. They're good guys. They know we're, but it went back and forth like that, man. And when John dropped that ball, had that team just rolled right in, that would have been the end of it, man. And you couldn't write a script better than the way that coach's challenge went, as far as the epic back and forth. So it was crazy, man. But there was no editing. That's what you saw is what you got tonight.
Yeah, that's why we're running, because it did look so like epic that we're like, this has got to be fake. But speaking of, real quick, Coach Huey, I think I saw some editing in the actual fight between Zach Cummings and Dylan tonight. Unfortunately, Team Sonnen took a loss. It was very unfortunate. I believe it's now tied as far as the fights go in this season so far. 2-2, I believe, or 4-4. I'm not exactly sure. 2-2, I believe. During the Zach Cummings fight, he was fighting Dylan in the first round, and then we saw, the blood was gushing everywhere, man. It looked like Saw 3D or whatever the hell the joke was. But then, at the end of the round, before the bell even rings, we noticed that everybody's all cleaned up. Did they edit out a doctor's stoppage or something? Because that looks suspicious. All of a sudden, nobody's got blood on them towards the end of that first round. Do you know what I'm talking about?
To be honest with you, there was no editing. It went to a decision. Maybe it could have went 3 rounds. Zach definitely dominated the first part of the first round, and then Dylan won the second half or less of the first round, and then Dylan basically shut Zach down in the second. It was that flying knee that Zach, standing up, Zach was really where he needed to be. But there was no editing. No, they showed you what happened. There's no fake stuff going on. I would have liked to see that fight go 3 rounds personally, because both guys are so tough. And Dylan and Zach were both favorite guys of everybody in the house. So it was kind of, it was at one point where Dylan threw the spinning heel kick, like, he was trying to, like Uriah threw, thinking that, well, maybe if he caught him, him and Uriah would be in a battle for a knockout of the season money. Mm-hmm. But and then you saw that both guys smile and high five, and that's exactly how it went, man. A lot of respect, but no fancy stuff. As far as the blood went, it might have been, they edited probably when somebody was wiping the blood off or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, something like that it must have been. Zach, he got the loss, but, it was a decision. It's not like he got knocked out or beaten up, so that was great. And then we saw the wild card for next week get set up. That's that Kevin Casey. Good to see him get another chance there against Bubba McDaniels. That's going to be an interesting fight there. Now, just getting back to our guests here, Mr. Tommy Toehold, sir. Have you, speaking of tough, have you ever considered trying out for the Ultimate Fighter? I mean, with your recent notoriety and fame, I'm sure you get guys challenging you to fight all the time, right? So, Tommy, how good is your UFC?
My UFC is pretty strong. I'm a triple yellow belt, which is like 5 or 6 above black. I try out for tough, but my legs are kind of a problem. I completely neglect them at the gym. Who's got time for that shit, you know? It's strictly bench press and curls for me. Sun's out, guns out.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. You are. I've seen your stuff. You are huge and muscular on top, but you have apparently no lower body mass whatsoever. So I've got to ask, man. Are you on the juice? Are you taking the TRT route? What's the deal here, Tommy?
I am juicing big time. In the cartoon hosting business, the testing is a joke. Anybody that pisses hot clearly doesn't know what they're doing. But yeah, I am yoked out of my mind, and I am loving it.
Hot piss. That's what I'm talking about. Word on the street from Tommy Toehold. Speaking of the name Tommy Toehold, why is your name Toehold? Why not Tommy Takedown or Tommy Triangle?
My name was actually given to me by Sakuraba. I was living in a bathroom in the Saitama Super Arena in Japan. I was surviving off stale popcorn and discarded energy drinks. And I ran into Sakuraba backstage at a Pride event. He said, your name is Tommy Toehold. And I said, okay. At least I think that's what he said. I don't speak Japanese, and I'm almost positive he had a concussion.
Sakuraba is another legend. I believe he's still living, so he's probably the only living legend besides Jamie Huey. Good guy. Tommy, I mean, I see you. You're glorious on your videos. Your animated splendor. But I got to know how real Tommy is. Does Tommy Toehold? Does he buy the UFC pay-per-views, or does he steal them like the rest of us?
Honestly, I usually try to enjoy them with the people at Toontown. Sometimes I'll head to Moe's Tavern for a few beers, watch the fights with Barney, not the drunk, the magical purple dinosaur. If I'm not doing that, I usually just mooch off somebody else, watch it at their place. Porky Pig always gets the fucking fights, so I can always head there. I would steal them, honestly, but my computer's from 1973, so streaming illegally is about as effective as Brock Lesnar's ability to take a punch.
Shout out to, can't even get the line out. Shout out to 1973. Now, the Tommy, this is the last question before we are actually on the line with your creator. The creator of Tommy Toehold is on the line with us. We'll get to him after this last question for Tommy here. Tommy, the ladies, I have to admit, they love you. And they all want to know if there is a special someone in your life. I mean, since you are a cartoon, does all that junk work down there, son? What's the word on the street,
Of course.
Tommy?
Just because I'm a cartoon doesn't mean I'm dead, damn it. There's no special lady really, though. Believe it or not, there's not a lot of monogamy in the cartoon community. Yeah, there's Marge and Homer and Fred and Fred's wife. But for the most part, it's like an Olympic Village up in this motherfucker.
That is the word on the street from Tommy Toehold himself. He is probably the greatest cartoon character ever conceived in MMA history, if not human history. Definitely cartoon history. Now we will bring on the creator of Tommy Toehold himself right now, and while we're getting him on the line here, I just wanted to throw to Jake one more time because I still can't believe it. I've got a bad taste in my mouth, like my heart. I'm all paranoid. I'm looking over my shoulder after that news from Coach Huey about Jon Jones offering to buy him out with an indecent proposal. Jake from the MMA podcast, dude, I just want to say, wow, like this is some pretty big ass news, don't you think? I mean, like, I hate to ask you for another reaction, but I mean, how does this make you feel about Jones and UFC 159 now, knowing this
Honestly,
shit?
dude, you told me about the news like a second before we went live. And I've been trying to pick my jaw up off the floor, but it's really been difficult. I guess heavy jaw. Jamie, it's just like you were getting to the point that Jon Jones is not who he purports to be. He puts himself out as the good guy, and all of this sort of I don't know really how much you can tap into his head, but what do you think the motive of Jon Jones is to play the bad guy when he knows, and soon enough everyone's going to know that that's not the case?
Well, all banter aside, John's young. John's 24 years old. So he kind of jumped into this position rather quickly at a young age. So I think he's dealing with the stuff. He's still trying to figure out who he is. So we kind of joke back and forth about things, but I think it's kind of one of those things that it's when somebody says one thing but does something else. It's one thing if you just go out and you do dirt. All right, man, cool. Some people do that, and that's what it is, and you deal with it. But when you kind of preach one thing and then you kind of do another, it kind of makes it worse, I think. And I'm not bad-mouthing John, because I'll be the first person to say that, I spent 7 weeks with him over there, and generally I like Jon Jones. I really do. I mean, I know the Team Darkside fan base doesn't want to hear that, but generally I like him. He's young, but he's really a good dude. His coaches on the other team were freaking solid, man. There wasn't a guy on that squad, either fighter or coach, that I didn't like. But I think people don't like people that preach one thing and then kind of do the other. And I'm not saying John's a bad guy. I just think he needs to do a little bit less perceive me as this, but I'm that type of a thing. You know what I mean? And I think some of that comes with age. I'll be the first person to say, when I was 24 years old, like, John's got it together more than I did. So I'm going to kind of excuse some of his stuff and kind of base it on age, I think.
Definitely. And one more quick question before I pass it back off. I was getting a lot of questions on Twitter. Wanted to sort of settle it for everyone asking. Did Jon Jones have to blow into a state-mandated breathalyzer before getting behind the wheel of that heavy?
Good question.
I don't know how. I don't know. Do you need a driver's license for one of those? I have no clue.
You do. You need a special kind of license for that type of tractor-trailer stuff, man. Holy, that's a good point that Jake MMA is bringing up. Jake from the MMA podcast.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, man.
and I believe, I mean, he has no license to operate a motor vehicle whatsoever at that point. It's ridiculous. That's a good question, obviously he probably just busted out some money and paid somebody off, right? That seems to be the pattern. Now, wow. I'm sick to my stomach hearing about this. Because you know what, Coach? If Chael Sonnen had done this to one of Jon Jones's coaches, he would have blown up on the spot. He would have just, he would have acted, like you said, he is a kid. He would have acted like a young kid. But you're saying Chael did hear about this. You did tell him about it, and his reaction was, he was just like, what exactly? If you could talk about that a little bit more, was he amused, or was he just like, oh man, good for the kid, he's trying to play the game? What was the tone?
At the time, I think we kind of laughed about it. I didn't make too big of a deal about it. After it happened, I walked back. It was in a tough gym, so I mean, again, people that think I'm making this up, I'm not kidding you. This is truth. It's, maybe we kind of sensationalize it, making some jokes about it, but this was a real conversation. This existed, and it is on film somewhere. Nothing happens in that tough gym that doesn't get recorded. So this is factual, actual stuff that went down. After that, I went back in the locker room, and I kind of told the guys, and we kind of had a chuckle about it. I don't think anybody thought a whole lot about it. I don't. So it didn't make a big deal about it, but I would throw out the same offer to some of his coaches. I have no problem. I mean, again, we're Darkside. That's how we roll. That's not how he says he is. But Ricky or any of those guys, Bubba, any of them guys want to come over to the Darkside. We're happy to have them.
Yeah, especially you should get that crazy guy with the Indian name. I don't even know what the hell's going on with that guy, but Chief Tomahawk. Oh yeah, whatever it is, Stonewall Jackson. You got to get him over there to Team Sonnen. But yeah, we need to find that tape then. maybe I'm not sure where it occurred in the timeline of the season. If they should have aired it by now, if they were going to. Do you know that? Do you know enough to gauge that?
I think it probably happened around where the episode is right now, or maybe I'm not. I don't think I'm speaking in the future a whole lot, but if the Fox or the tough people wanted to get a hold of me, I'm sure we could narrow it down.
Yeah, I'll definitely reach out to my contacts, which is just one person, the cameraman from the show, Nick the Terrible. I'll see what he's got, if anything, or if he knows anybody, he might be able to produce something maybe magically. But okay, now we have him on the line. He is the creator of the Tommy Toehold Show. This is no bullshit. This is for real. We're about to break down the fourth wall, peek behind the curtain here. The creator of the Tommy Toehold Show. Now, I've got to say, I usually do my research on people that are going to be on the show here on the Word on the Street, but with this one, I'm going in dark. All right. I even tried to ask Coach Jamie Huey if he knew. Coach Jamie, before we go to the creator of the Tommy Toehold Show, Coach, what is your best guess on what his first name is, or his name, if we can call him anything?
I'm going to go with Jordan, and then I got a package from him today with the new Tommy Toehold shirt in there, and there was a note, and it said from Shane, and then I'm like, oh crap, and I thought it was Jordan, so I kind of started second guessing myself, and then kind of chatting back and forth with him today. I determined that Shane was actually the guy that's doing the shirt. So having said that, I'm gonna roll back with my guess. Pretty sure his name's Jordan. I have his number in my phone under Jordan. So if it's not, then I'm gonna look like an asshole, and I'm gonna have to change that.
Well, we're about to find out right now. The creator of the Tommy Toehold Show is on the line with us on the Word on the Street podcast. Thank you for coming on the show. What should we call you?
You can call me the creator of the Tommy Toehold Show. I cannot confirm nor deny that my name is Jordan. It may or may not be. We'll leave that. As a mystery.
Exactly. Yeah, it was all speculation, and I'm glad we presented it that way. Who knows? His name, I was guessing his name was just straight up Tommy. I was like, hey, Tommy, makes sense or whatever. Now, the brains behind Tommy Toehold. I've got to know, sir. How much weed were you smoking at the time that you created Tommy Toehold?
The show actually was sort of an accident, honestly. I wanted to do an MMA show. I'd been an MMA fan for a long time. So I actually set up a camera, and I got in front of it, and it wasn't the tone that the Tommy Toehold Show is. It wasn't as funny. It was just more like my opinions on things. And I watched it, and it sucked. But not only did the content suck, the production value was horrible. The camera I had was bad, but I did have a condenser mic, which is used for generally recording audio. So I was like, well, if I could have some kind of images accompany my audio, maybe I could do a show still. And that's when I came up with this idea of, well, what if I had a little avatar? So I pulled this avatar off some website, this little tiny dude. He was really skinny, had a huge head. And then later on, I would create my own, which is the Tommy that you see now. But it sort of just took off from there. Like I said, it was really an accident. It sort of just started putting itself together as time went on. I mean, if you watch the very first episode of the show, it is just horrible. I mean, Tommy talks really slow. Nothing is synced up very well, and then as time progressed, I got better at it. My joke writing got better, and then I started adding interviews, and it sort of turned into the madness that it is today.
Yeah. First shows. If you look up on YouTube, my first Word on the Street podcast, it is the day after UFC 148, Sonnen versus Silva, the rematch. Obviously, I was the biggest Sonnen fan. I put all the money down on him. My first podcast was the day afterwards, so it sounds like I'm crying, but actually, like, what happened was, like, I was like yelling the whole fucking night at the fight, so I had lost my voice, but I wanted to break down exactly what happened, and like I felt the need to break down the fight and Anderson Silva's straight up cheating and whatnot. So yeah, my first podcast was also horrible, so I understand that. So you did actually develop it. You are achieving success. You're all over the place, dude. I've got people, but the obvious question from people that they want to know, you mentioned your avatar. How closely does the creator of Tommy Toehold resemble the avatar? Because I'm guessing you're the complete opposite, son.
I don't know if I'm the complete opposite. Look, the very first avatar I created was, or the one I pulled from that website. I just kind of did what I could with what they gave me. So, like I said, I couldn't really do anything with the body. I couldn't really do anything other than what it gave me. And he had an angry expression. So when I flipped the show to make my own, because when I started getting into it, I was like, well, if I don't make my own character, if sometime down the line I start monetizing this, that might become an issue with that company that made that avatar. But I wanted people to still go, oh, yeah, that's Tommy Toehold that were watching the show, all the 10 or 15 people that were my audience at that time. So I thought, okay, I need to make this new avatar closely resemble my previous avatar, but with more flair of what I wanted. And I always kind of pictured Tommy as this giant meathead sort of character. So I thought, okay, tiny legs like those dudes you see at the gym, and then just fucking giant gorilla arms. I would say the part of Tommy that matches me more closely is probably the face. I don't grimace all the time, but I mean, I have a beard usually, and I usually shave my head. So that kind of matches up. But I mean, yeah, my arms do not reach down to my feet. That is not exactly a representation of what I look like, I would say.
Word. Now you do have a number of followers also on the Twitter, but your videos come out on YouTube and such. On Twitter, I've noticed that Dana White followed you, followed by Lorenzo Fertitta, millionaires and billionaires, and the presidents and owners of the UFC. Now that's got to be a little intimidating, so I wanted to ask you about that, man. Has that in any way changed how you write any future episodes of the Tommy Toehold Show, knowing for a fact that they are going to watch them?
I don't know. I mean, it's been pretty recent that they started following me, so maybe I'm not scared yet, but I should be. I don't know. When Dana followed me, I feel like I know Dana's personality a little bit more because he's always in the spotlight, and I kind of know what he thinks is funny, and obviously he thought the show was funny. But when Lorenzo Fertitta followed me, I was like, okay, wait a second. Like, I don't know a lot about Lorenzo. I mean, I know that he owns the company, and other than that, but so I thought, oh well, maybe he likes it, maybe he doesn't. But he said he liked the video, so no, I don't think it's going to change how I do the show. Generally speaking, the content I create is. It's not necessarily negative towards, I'll make a joke and lightheartedly about things, but honestly, I understand that, running a promotion like that has got to be incredibly difficult, and, who am I to call them out on their shit? So I might make jokes about it, but I think at the end of the day, they know that it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, and I think fighters know that too. I haven't had too many fighters that were upset about my portrayals of them on the show, although I haven't spoken with Nick Diaz, so he may hate me, I have no idea.
Yeah. You definitely don't hate Team Sonnen or Chael Sonnen, the fighter, I've noticed in your videos. So I am assuming that you are a Chael Sonnen fan. Is that correct, man? Are you ready for UFC 159?
Dude, I'm a huge Chael Sonnen fan. He is got to be one of the most interesting people that has ever done this sport. And I know that he's polarizing. I don't know why. I don't know how people don't see what's happening, but no, he's one of my absolute favorites, and having him interact with me on the show and through Coach Huey and everything, it's just been fantastic. Definitely my all-time favorite fighter, and his impact on the sport has been incredible. I love it, and his impact on my show has been incredible. I mean, I don't know where my show would be right now if it wasn't for Chael Sonnen and all the things that he's done over the last year. So, no, I am the biggest Chael Sonnen fan ever, and I cannot wait for that fight.
Yep, and since you're the biggest Chael Sonnen fan and one of his biggest promoters right now, that only begs the question from us. Has Jon Jones ever offered you money to paint him in a favorable light?
I can 100% tell you right now that Jon Jones has never approached me, nor do I know if he even – I don't even know if he knows I exist. I would prefer he didn't, but maybe he does. I don't know. Yeah, I have not ever spoken with Jon Jones. He hasn't blocked me on Twitter, so I guess he hasn't thought of my videos too negatively yet. So yeah, I really don't know what he thinks of Tommy Toehold, but he has not asked me to portray him in any light other than the lights I've already portrayed him in.
Well, John, if he doesn't know, now he knows. And Johnny Bones Jones, I know you're out there listening, you son of a bitch, trying to buy out Team Sonnen's coach, the living legend. And that's how you know that Coach Jamie is the living legend. Because guess what? The champion himself is trying to get this guy in his corner. All right? That tells you all you need to know. Now, getting back to the creator of Tommy Toehold, sorry, it just makes me sick to my stomach here what Jones is trying to do to sabotage UFC 159. Wow, I'm sorry. Creator of Tommy Toehold. I've got to ask, you do how many shows do you put out there? Do you have a regular schedule, or is it like here and there? Because my podcast is all over the place. I put out YouTube videos, just whenever I'm just not high enough to pass out, but high enough to do one. Do you have a regular schedule? Because I notice you take questions, and then you do like the regular, just the regular Tommy Toehold shows. What's going on with
I have a Monday show that I always do, which is the Q&A, and so I take questions from Twitter, Facebook on Sunday, and Coach Huey has been on I think 13 times now. He is one of the all times on the Tommy Toehold show, and so I do that on Mondays. Then every single Wednesday for the last, I guess tomorrow will be 54 weeks straight. I have created the regular Tommy Toehold show, and sometimes it comes out at 11:59 on Wednesday, but I have not missed a Wednesday since I started last year. We just got over a year a couple weeks ago, so yeah, it's pretty regular, and sometimes I'll throw in bonus episodes or bonus content if I want to make something that doesn't really fit into what I'm doing. Like I did a video one time of Nick Diaz when he was in Pulp Fiction, so I had like him as a character in that, and stuff like that. So occasionally I do videos that are off schedule, but generally speaking, it is Monday and Wednesday.
Nick Diaz in Pulp Fiction.
It's the scene where Sam Jackson and John Travolta go into that guy's apartment to get the briefcase, and he eats the guy's burger, and he keeps telling him, asking him to stop saying what. So I used that scene with Nick Diaz, and it turned out pretty funny.
Oh, okay. Nice. Now, Coach, I found out about the Tommy Toehold show through Coach Jamie Huey. So that, I just got to ask Coach Huey, how did you hear about the Tommy Toehold show, if you remember? Like, because you're the one who brought me to it.
To be honest with you, I'm kind of proud to say this. I stumbled upon it. Nobody told me about it. I stumbled on it somehow on YouTube. I was probably searching for, a fight or something, and it came up. And I thought it was freaking hilarious. And this is early on. This was probably anywhere between in his first dozen episodes that he had up, and this is, I literally watched the character kind of evolve into what it is now, and I've seen, Tommy doing these, big things on YouTube, and everybody's picking up on it, and I thought it is such a genius show, and I used that word in full meaning, that I couldn't help but not try to get out there and try to get it out there to people and promote it, because it is so good. And it's kind of one of those things, if your product is that good, it's going to get out there and it's going to spread. And that's really, I've kind of watched this guy just grow up and succeed from there. And I'm kind of proud to feel like, I was kind of in on something from the beginning. But I think it's only the beginning for the show. I mean, it is so genius, the character, the way he displays the characters, and the Nick Diaz's. And I mean, one of my favorite episodes was when Joe Rogan and Eddie Bravo were having a conversation about something, and then the subject just kept going from one thing to another. That was way back, probably episode 15, and it's just continued to evolve into what it is now today. So, I just stumbled upon it, to be honest with you.
I think Coach Huey is one of the biggest Tommy Toehold fans I know, because I have seen him just getting people hooked on it left and right. Man, you have a good promoter there in the living legend, Mr. Creator of the Tommy Toehold show.
Real quick. We were in the Tough gym one night, and we were back in the locker room. And when we did our evening practices, sometimes, there was always cameras no matter where you went, but there was usually a big presence of UFC people around the gym. But in the evening workout, because we were the later workout, there wasn't necessarily. But you couldn't play music, because of copyrighted stuff, whatever. I was telling these guys about the Tommy Toehold show, and all the guys on Team Darkside, is probably somewhere in the middle of the season or about maybe even right about now. And I pulled up my phone, and because nobody else is supposed to have phones, but the coaches would bring them in. And I started playing a couple Tommy Toehold episodes. And the whole team, and this is on video too probably somewhere. It's got to be because they taped everything. And we're sitting around my cell phone, and we're watching one of the Tommy Toeholds, and I think it was where Chael was going off about something. And these guys were cracking up, man. And of all those guys that were in the gym, I think Luke and there might have been one or two other guys out of everybody that was in there that it was actually that knew about Tommy Toehold. And now everybody, Luke is a huge fan. Uriah is a fan. They're all just like everybody. We've had conversations about this, how good the show is. So it's fun to watch it evolve into what it is.
No, definitely. I'm going to check out those earlier episodes now that you mentioned them. Now, the brains behind Tommy Toehold. I got to know, what is the future of the show? It's kind of blowing up, man. And that's one thing I definitely do not know a thing about, because that has not happened to me, but it's happening to you. So what is the future of the Tommy Toehold show? Do you think are you going to sell out? It's only a matter of time before Jon Jones type people start coming up to you. They're like, hey man, maybe you should sneak in a little joke about this can of Nas. So what's the deal there? Are you going to sell out? Are you going to keep doing this for the conceivable future? Do you have a goal in mind, or is this just all a goof to
first
you?
let me say that the story that Coach Huey just told was awesome, and that's really cool that they were doing that. And Coach Huey and Chael and all the guys Team Darkside have been freaking awesome. Couldn't have a better group of supporters, and I really appreciate that. As far as the future of the show goes, it's definitely not a goof. I think it might have started off that way. Like when I first started doing the show, I had structured it in a way that I thought, if I structure this show this way, it might be successful in the future. But I didn't really ever think it would be successful. And then it kind of started picking up steam a little bit. And then, I don't know, probably halfway through my run here, I started getting really serious about it. When I got picked up by Crave Online for about 3 months, that's when I really started going, okay, this is something I'm going to be very serious about, and I'm going to get after it. But before that, I was like, maybe it does well, maybe it doesn't. But as far as the future goes, I don't know. I don't know where it's headed. I'd like to take it to TV if I could. I don't think it would be I think if you watch Tommy for 30 minutes, your head would explode. So I don't think it should be a full show, but I think a segment on a show would be an excellent idea. And, I'm willing to do something like that and to get it out to the masses. I still think, even if I had to adjust what I do, even slightly, I still think I could make it funny. So I'm definitely willing to move forward with it, and I'm going to take this thing as far as I can and ride it till the wheels fall off, because, I can't even believe the response I've gotten from this. And, I'm talking on the phone with, Chael Sonnen, and I'm like, is this even happening? It's the craziest thing ever. So, I'm going to keep pushing it and see where this thing takes me.
I am still waiting on my title interview with Chael Sonnen. I'll get it. I'll get there someday. Right now I'm in the prelims, man. But you're there. You're there on the main card, Tommy Toehold. And I really admire what you are doing. I have to say that. And it is funny as shit. I'll be watching. You'll come up with lines that I never would have fucking thought of. And a part of me is like, damn, I never would have thought of that shit. So yeah, hats off to you. I've got to know though. The impressions that are on your show. Now they're obviously not even real attempts at an actual, legitimate impression of the person. I mean, you do incorporate like one element of what that person sounds like, and so like that's the whole that is that's fucking hilarious in itself. And then you have the big disclaimer at the beginning that it's not the real person, even though it's obviously not the real person. I just want to know, do you actually have real, like, actual impressions, and do you back off from doing the actual full-on accents and everything, or is it presented that way just because you got nothing on
Well, the first thing, the disclaimers, were started as a joke. I think one of the third or fourth episode, I think Cage Potato had gotten some hot water for putting a caption up about something about Dana White. Anyway, it all blew over, but it was one of the things I covered on the show, so I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I just had disclaimers everywhere for the rest of the show? And then I kind of kept the joke running for a couple weeks, and I was like, you know what, this is actually a good idea. I'm going to keep these on here forever. So that's why you always see these little TTTHS legal team notes on the show, and when they're clearly not even close to the real people. As far as the impressions go, I think some of the times it was because I just couldn't do the voice. So I was like, you know what, I don't know how to do this voice, and I'm just going to try to pick up on their diction or just a little, one little part of their voice and ride with it. And it's kind of the South Park method. I mean, they do impressions of celebrities all the time, but they don't really sound necessarily like the celebrity. But it's them, so it's not a big deal. Like, it's funny, I'll have people come up to me and say, dude, your Nick Diaz impression is great. And I'm like, is it? Really, though? Like, listen to it right next to Nick Diaz, and you'll say, that sucks, dude. You don't sound anything like him. But it's just, I create characters out of actual people. I would say I do have a couple that are kind of close, but generally speaking, if I can't figure it out, I'll just put something together, like Stephen Bonner. I've done Stephen Bonner several times, and I could not do his voice. But I was like, you know what? He kind of sounds like Kermit the Frog. So I did a Kermit the Frog impression and went with it. So, yeah, it just depends on the situation and what I can do with my voice.
Yeah, I've noticed some of them actually do get close.
I think Chael's so good. When Chael's in character, you're like dead on. Yeah.
You think that's a good one? Shit, I'll have to listen to that one. Now, I will ask Coach Jamie if he's got any questions for the creator of the Tommy Tohold Show before we sign off. But I do have one more question. Mr. Creator, wow. Well, first of all, thank you for coming on the Word on the Street podcast. This is a great honor, I've got to say. But we watch when we're bored of shit, when we're smoking weed, when we're drinking, after, our wife, just gives us problems. We ain't putting up with it. We get on the computer. We look up shit on YouTube. We see your videos. We watch your videos. What about you, though? What's your shit? Like, what do you watch, man? What shows are you into? What movies? Like, what YouTube channels? What are you a fan of that you can recommend,
as far
dude?
As videos go on YouTube, you know what? I don't really. I subscribe to the channels on my YouTube as Tommy, but they're basically MMA channels. They're usually informative. I don't really look to MMA for a ton of comedy when I'm not doing the show. I do a little bit with like MMA Roasted and Prebeck. They're pretty funny guys. But I guess I just do anything and everything that's on YouTube. If something's popular and trending, I'll usually check it out. As far as other things that entertain me, I tend to watch really bad movies when I'm making the show. So I have like a stack of just shit-tacular films, and I'll pop them in. I will watch like Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme the entire time I'm making the show, and it just makes me laugh my ass off. So I like things that are not intentionally funny, and that's usually where I get my humor. But yeah, there'll be nights where I'll go on YouTube and look up people getting kicked in the nuts for 20 minutes and just laugh my ass off. So yeah, I'm like everybody else. I laugh at goofy shit.
That's good to know. Coach Jamie Huey, you were on with the creator of the Tommy Tohold Show. I just wanted to see if maybe you had a question for him before we wrap this podcast up. It's been shocking. We've had breaking news. We've seen a little bit more truth about Ronnie Bones, Jon Jones, Jon the Leprechaun, Broken Bones, Yellow Jones, whatever his name is. Coach Huey, did you have anything for the creator of Tommy Tohold before we
I'd say maybe on behalf of all his fans, I think one thing I see him do is he's on Twitter, and he damn near answers every single person that says great show. And on top of him putting in all those hours writing context and putting the show together, he really goes out of his way for to kind of make everybody feel like he saw their text and he appreciates them. And I think that's kind of collectively what the three of us are even doing right now, reaching out. And I don't know, I guess on behalf of the fans, and I'm one of them, speaking for them, speaking for me, man, I think we all really appreciate that.
Yep, and one more question for the Tommy Toehold Mastermind before we wrap this up. Sir, I've got to know, because, you're obviously there's just certain people, they got the comedy thing down, you've got it, man. Have you ever done stand-up comedy? Are you, maybe is that something you might do? Why aren't you doing it when you're obviously talented in that field? What's the word on the street?
Let me say to Coach Huey that thank you very much. I appreciate everybody that watches it too, and like you said, I do try to respond to everybody, and I just feel like, if they took the time to watch my show and send me a message, it only takes me a couple seconds to say, hey, thank you, and maybe if I have a lot of messages, it takes a little longer, but I don't mind, and it's really cool that my fans are awesome. They love interacting with me, and I have a blast doing it. As far as comedy goes, you know what? This was actually my first foray into the field. I was an English teacher before I did this. I was an English teacher at a high school, and I coached football. And then they had to make some budget cuts because of the economy, and I ended up being a substitute for a while, and then I kind of moved into some other things, and I ended up doing videography, and then this was just something I kind of did for fun on the side, and now it's sort of consumed my life. But, yeah, it wasn't really – I've done, little things here and there and, acted in a play in high school or whatever. But, yeah, this is really the first I've ever tried of it, and I would like to do stand-up. I think that would be fun. Obviously, Tommy Toehold is not stand-up, but I think, I could come up with something and try that. I might dip my foot in the waters for that in the future. So, yeah, it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, man. You're quick, and that's all it takes to be a good stand-up, really. But me, I have the same story as you. Actually, I was an English lit major. I did try to go into the teaching business. It was a damn nightmare. Here I am with a mediocre podcast, but here you are with a successful show. So hats off to you. I aim to be you, Tommy Toehold, and its creator, the whole thing. That is my goal. And that's why I had you on, man. Besides the fact that, having you on works for me, I'm not going to lie. I'm like Jon Jones over here trying to buy everybody out, get them on the show, pimp my shit as much as possible. But no, seriously, thank you very much for coming on. And I'll just go to Coach Huey and then Tommy. Just real quick before we wrap this up. Where can we get a hold of you? How can people contact you? Coach Jamie Huey, people want to talk to you on Twitter, ask you questions. They want to know, people are going to ask you how much money. They're going to want an exact number, of course. Where can they ask you that annoying question?
Going back real quick, if I don't do anything, I believe that I have the ability to scout and see talent, and I'm proud to say that I kind of caught Tommy on his way up, and then the Word in the Street podcast, man. Me and Ramsey have been doing this for a little while now, man, and I'm seeing
Same here.
I'm seeing big things for you in the future, man, and I'm excited for the podcast because there's real value to what it is you're doing. As far as getting in contact with me, Twitter at Coach Jamie Huey. I got a website. Every week I say it's getting worked on. It still is, but my guy Andy's gonna get the video up here pretty quick, but www.coachjamiehuey.com. This weekend, Liz McCarthy makes her pro boxing debut, Seven Feathers Casino in Canyonville, Oregon. So if you're in the area, come out for that. And then Tommy, also, don't forget to plug your T-shirts. I got a Tommy Toehold T-shirt in the mail today, and it is high quality. It is thick. It's a nice cotton. It's red, and it is sharp looking. So with that, I'll pass it on to you.
Go for it, Tommy. Tommy Toehold and his creator. What is the deal? Where can people reach you? How can they watch your videos? Where can they buy the shirt? Where can I buy the shirt? I'm going to buy one. I heard Chael's getting one soon, and Coach, you already has one. I got to get one too,
man.
Thanks
for the T-shirt plug, Coach. I appreciate that. That's awesome. You can find the shirts on TTTHS.com. They're also on Amazon, eBay. I think they're on Sears.com too. But really the easiest place to go is TTTHS.com. So that's TTTHS.com. As far as getting a hold of me, Facebook, Twitter. My Twitter is at Tommy Toehold, and I'm pretty much on there 24/7. So if you send me a message, chances are I will see it, and I will say something back to you. My Facebook is just Facebook.com/Tommy Toehold, and that's I respond to things on that as well, but it's probably, if you're really trying to get a hold of me, Twitter is the best way to do it. And hey, thank you for having me on the show. It's been a blast, and kind of echoing what Coach Huey said, very talented. And, the way you've been transitioning between guests and moving the topics along has been very impressive. So keep it up, man. Keep busting your ass, and you'll keep going places.
Oh yeah, all on the fly too, while stoned and having a little cocktail. I have to say. So thank you for checking me on that. I appreciate it, sir. Whatever your name may be, but we know you as Tommy Toehold and his glorious creator. Check them out on Twitter. Check out Coach Jamie, the living legend Huey. We did break some crazy ass news. We revealed the darkness inside of Jon Jones's head. We went into his dark place tonight, guys, and we know that he's all about bones. He's all about trying to throw bones at people. He tried to break up Team Sun and Team Darkside. Spread the word. The revenge is going to happen April 27th, 2000 in Chael at UFC 159. Thank you, Tommy and Coach Jamie, the living legend Huey, for coming on the show. This will conclude the conference call and the podcast. We'll see you on Twitter, everybody. Look us up. Check us out. Thanks again. Tune in next week. And just, guys, I just want to say thanks, and I'll see you guys later, man. Totally take it easy.
We'll see you.
Everybody, man. Good night, folks.